Hello. Copy.
10-4.
Is it Crystal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright, let's see. Welcome. Since now we got some viewers, now we can chit-chat. Oh, wrong itch. Who's there? Oh, there you go. Anywho, good evening. BNR Xfinity Series at the Glen for 74 miles tonight, 30 laps. A lot of left and right hand turns. That line is on to show you guys where. Actually, let's just fix that. We don't want that. Here, my apologies. Just gives you a good view. There you go. Anywho, yes, 30 laps tonight. Race day info. I don't think anybody else is coming out. As you see here, they are in New York. They're doing the cup configuration here. Current track temp is 113. It is a 2/4 of a mile. The weather is 79 degrees. Humidity 54. Partly cloudy. 11 mile per hour winds. 30 laps. 73.5 miles. So we rounded up 74. 50% fuel. 4 sets of tires. 1 quick fix. And Nick Will R is last week's winner. Anywho, now we come to the best part, the starting grid. P1 would be Nick Rader, P2 would be Zach Rongage, P3 would be George Rincon, P4 would be Brandon Moore, P5 would be Jay Sanchez, P6 would be Skylar Sigston, P7 would be Tyler Myers, P8 would be Philip Bridgman, P9 would be Josh Small, P10 would be Jacob Carter, P11 would be Joe Stipe, P12 would be Chris Schaefer, P13 would be James Sellner, P14 would be John Outland, P15 would be Randy, P16 would be Sammy, P17 will be AJ, P18 will be Ernest. And the safety car is a Porsche, Will. Look at that.
You still got me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, it looks nice. Porsche 911 looks like maybe a Porsche Carrera Cup car. Getting the green flag pretty early. Only did a quarter of a lap. Wouldn't even say that that's a half a lap. Could be. They started on that short stock car configuration there on the back straightaway. Coming into turn one, fairly even start. 18 or 20. How many competitors, Brian? My apologies.
18.
18. Okay, I was right with the gut instinct. Anyway, going through the S's for the first time, everything looks kind of nice and tidy. I need to load up that precious Twitch app for the Xbox here. Going down the back straightaway, well, the first of the back straightaways into the bus stop for the first time. Nice and attacking for the front runners.
By the way, Rongich is in a rookie Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme. Senior, sorry. And I hear carnage back there.
Looks like Joe might have been involved in what you heard.
28 of George Rincon there. I say pretty much setting even amounts of pace here.
Yep, Nick Rader staying somewhat, staying on a somewhat even pace with Ronic. Teammates, remember correctly. George Rincon, very surprising to me at least, to be up in the top 5 at least on the road courses.
Well, little did you know, he does have an A road class, so he's got his road class jotted down.
So he does both pretty equally well, I would say.
He's got Brandon Moore right up his back end there.
I never really raced with him much on road courses whenever I raced with him on the console. So, yeah, that looks like the old K2 pink dirt tracker paint scheme, or scheme. Had a few 164 scale cars from the 90s. Somewhere in a collection, in a shed somewhere. Anywho, but top 5, I guess you could say top 3 breakaway somewhat, maybe top 4, all the way somewhat back to Sanchez. There's somewhat of a breakaway. Then you got the rest of the field. You got Carter and Sigston having a scuffle, I would say, for 6th place. Somewhat, they were, at least. I think Sigston lost some speed somewhere.
He's
hey,
got
look,
Bridgman.
Martin's in the field.
Yeah.
Yep. I forget that Phillip is the 5 car in the Xfinity Series. And throwing it back to Mark Martin, CarQuest Kellogg's car there. Yeah, Sigston is kind of slipping into Bridgman's clutches. Carter has pulled away from Sigston. Looks to be a pretty decent fight going back further in the field. 13th, 14th, 15th is all duking it out. Archibald, King, and coaching.
And it's going all right, little road course. You see Sammy there, just loser. Yes, that will do.
Lots of wheel hop going into the first turn, but he Tokyo drifted it and actually saved it. Never really did a full spin. I would say that might have been 110 degrees of rotation, perhaps. Who is that behind him? Is that Ernest? I like the Darrell Waltrip Dell Jr. Throwback there. Ernest, I know you can hear me.
He's just logging laps. He's not a road course driver, but he shows up to get his points. And
I would say there's quite a few gentlemen in this race tonight, at least 8 or so, Brian, that aren't particularly quick on the road courses, but they do, like you say, show up and do give it an effort, at least. I would say, at the moment, A for the effort. Until we see them off track or some type of an excursion, it's still an A in my book. But they would be normally up in the top 10, top 5. If it's an oval, I would normally be saying, whenever we're looking at these drivers, I would say, most of them at least. Road courses doesn't suit everyone. It's not for everyone, but.
Myers got some damage, huh?
Yeah, I think that all occurred with the stack up that unfortunately possibly have taken AJ out of the race. Joe, AJ, and possibly Tyler all might have had it coming together whenever, I think it was on the opening lap or the second lap, somewhere along those lines. Oh, Brad Keselowski moment going into turn 1, Tyler Myers had.
That's where he went off. He had that penalty.
Very similar to Archibald in the 75 that we saw
And then this was on the start. This what happened to AJ.
Accidentally forgot to add a number 5, perhaps, to the scheme. I think he had something go down, possibly a tire or something. It looked like on the right front of that car, Brian, as he was coming through the carousel. Something came amiss on the 55.
Oh, well, they have 25 to go here. As you see, they
yes, I would say a pretty quick sprint. I would assume they would still have to make a pit stop with the 50% fuel tank.
Oh, Brandon! Oh! That's a blowover, ladies and gentlemen.
At the Glen, channeling his enter J.D. McGuffey. And I'm kind of surprised that's not a caution, but I wonder what restitutes as a caution on a road course in iRacing. I guess a blowover or a rollover. You could see he kind of got a little bit in the grass with the right sides, Brian, and once he started to brake, possibly let off or just hit his normal braking spot while he was side by side with Rincon, when the moment he knew just the half a tire or maybe a quarter of the tire, the tread of the tire, the flat, bald, racing slick surface of these Goodyear radials got into that grass, he cranked it. If we could get an in-car view, the cockpit view perhaps, we could possibly see how he went to avoid getting into Rincon, because he really jerked it back to the wall, at least to his side of the Armco, from the outside view. He's side by side, kind of has a bumper. Oh, but he gets in the grass, he knew it, and you could see the wheel cranking to the right to avoid the 28 car to his inside, who did have the corner. I would suspect, as a racing driver there, it was his corner. The 9 car was not fully along, but still was trying, and just unfortunately under braking gave Rincon, I would say, just more room than he needed, Brian, and got those right sides off in the grass. And anytime you get these bald radials, Goodyear radials, in grass, basically you lose almost all control at that point. Doesn't matter if you get barely one of your tire or one side of the car off in the grass. It is treacherous. Hello. Just a Watkins Glen stock car race, BNR Xfinity Series here, going on at the moment. Great battle going on for second and fourth. You got Sanchez being harassed by Jacob Carter at the moment. Jacob Carter has kind of broken away from the 6th place competitors right behind him and has driven up to the top 3. That is second, third, and fourth, and kind of trying to apply the pressure to Jaden Sanchez, as Jacob Carter, I don't think he's going to get it this lap. Maybe coming out of the carousel, if he could keep up the momentum through the bus stop. I think he has to attack the bus stop a little bit more than that. He needs to be a little bit more greedy going through the bus stop. Jacob is losing a little bit of time through the bus stop. He could have attacked it a bit better, I believe. But George Rincon kind of falling back a little bit through, I would say, right through the exit of the 2nd sector, entering the 3rd, but he has a lot of speed through the first part of the lap. as Nick Rader trying to break away from Rincon, as Rincon has really applied pressure to Nick Rader the past handful of laps. Most of the corners here, turn 1, turn 9, turn 8, what other corner? Anyway, most of the corners here, if you extend the track to the full length, full boot configuration, basically that adds more corners to the track, the full track layout. But all the corners, for the most part, are 90-degree corners, meaning that in a stock car, at least in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and possibly the Truck Series, you are taking most of these turns in second gear. You might come all the way down to first for turn 1 just because of the downhill braking to turn immediately to the right, but most of these corners, as what you just saw them go through the final corner, most of them are second gear corners. You were predominantly in second gear for, I would say, 3/4 of the lap here. Maybe half a lap. Maybe it just depends on how you're driving the car and how you attack the curves. But 20 laps to go, this race kind of flying by. Zachary Rongich has pulled out to a 2.5 lead. Nick Rader trying to run him back down after Rincon got up there, applied some pressure, and Nick said, "I don't like that, I'm going to go away now." And Jaden kind of lurking behind George as we have Randy in the pits. Possible scheduled pit stop. This was a 35 lap race, Brian?
30.
Oh, 30. I thought it was 35. I thought we had already completed like 15. So, could be scheduled pit stop. I could possibly see someone like Randy trying to pull some type of strategy card. Not sure how much fuel these competitors
Oh,
get.
Jay about lost it.
But a tremendous save, I would say, from the 2 car of Sanchez, but that allows Jacob to close ever so greatly on the back bumper of the 2. I would almost have just about went for a pass, but he very much patiently waited. And finally, center way up the inside going into the bus stop.
Oh yeah. Well, with that little slip up, Will, that had cost Sanchez a little bit of time, and which made Jacob use an evasive move to get around him, especially going through the S's. Oh, excuse me, S's there.
Well, Brian, just you can compare. Basically, anytime you lose time on a road course, you can almost compare it to being in a short track, because you lose so much time whenever you lose your momentum on a short track. It may take you 2 to 5 laps just to get back into that rhythm after, just checking up a little bit or whatever you did to lose that momentum. And on a road course, if you straddle the curbing too wrongly or too much, or you will hop into a corner, especially on the beginning part of the lap, that can really mess up the entire lap and make you lose seconds within that lap. And that's kind of what we saw happen there with Sanchez in the 2 whenever Carter was able to finally get around him a couple of laps ago. He made the mistake kind of early on in the lap, just coming on the exit of turn 1, and really messed him up for pretty much the remainder of that lap. And I would almost assume it's probably going to take him this lap just to get back into that rhythm.
Oh yeah. Let's take under 17 to go. You see Jacob trying to run down Rincon.
Well, Philip Bridgman was in around 6th, 7th place, dropped down to 10th. Could be tire fall off, maybe just not really having the pace, tonight here at the Glen.
I don't know. Well, he does have a couple of nicks and crannies there, so I wonder if he kind of scraped the wall a little bit. So he's
possibly could have incurred some type of battle wounds.
Sorry, keeping up with my race control here. Messages gonna be. I see here Jacob closing in on Rincon here. Rincon must have wore some of those tires out.
Good possibility. Closing in about halfway now on the race. So if your stuff isn't burnt out in 15 laps around the Glen, then I don't know how much more they could take, to be honest. Okay, bye-bye. But coming up through the S's, Jacob Carter's line, at least through the 90-degree corners, seemed to be a pretty good one.
See that lap down? That's Rongich, and the old throwback to Dale Sr.
Well,
but that's
okay. That's Schaefer in the 23.
Yep.
I was trying to get a number on the door, and I was trying to find the number. You're good. Not too familiar still with the paint scheme, even though I think he's been running that now for a couple of weeks. Just still not familiar. Got to be very careful navigating traffic.
You see, pit stops are playing a key now.
Oh, now in some racing games, whenever you make your pit stop, you have to be in the pit commitment line, like, from the moment you're going to be committed. Now in iRacing, you just got to hit the commitment line, which on certain tracks is way basically to the pit wall. But on other racing games or other racing simulators, it actually starts when you hit the actual painted commitment line on the track. I know in Gran Turismo, if I'm not mistaken, you've got to be within the painted line. If not, you get a penalty occurred. But anywho, I only brought that up because I saw Rongich get into the pit entry lane, and then Nick Rader, after he had got to the apex, he darted down there. Kind of caught my eye. He was like, "Oh, you're pitting. I should probably pit with you on the same lap." Aha! It's almost as if teammates did not know what each other was doing. Jacob Carter comes out of the pits. Oh, my bad. Rincon did not pit with him. He stayed out a lap. I'm like, oh, he jumped Rincon in the pits, but my apologies. Rincon stayed out a lap. I would almost say good move on George's part, because possibly, you're not coming down the pits with everyone else, and being in the line of fire, getting rammed, as Forrest Gump would say, in the buttocks. Jacob Carter might have the speed, Brian, in the closing halfway portion of this race after that halfway point pit stop, ironically enough. So I would say if he could get past Nick Rader, dispose of Nick, and keep up the pace, I would say he could get to Rongich almost no problem. He's got to almost make quick work of Nick Rader, but Joe Stipe, my apologies, Joe. Nick could have, I would say, could have ran Jacob a little bit harder going into the bus stop, but gave him plenty of room. After all, guys, come on, you do have fenders on the cars. I would expect a little bit of elbows out, but anyway, nevertheless, good, clean, almost sports car racing like esque. It's whatever.
Oh, and there goes Stipe, loose off the turn.
Yep, got the power down a bit too quickly, Joe. I don't have to tell you that, though. You know that. But Jacob made quick work, I would say, somewhat quick work of Nick after they came out the pits, trying to chase down Zachary now.
And we're going to go to our favorite opponent of the night. So we'll let Will get a drink for a lap or two.
Oh, okay. Nice. And crank it up portion. Nice.
As we come back here, you see, oh, Ernie! I mean, Raider. Great lockdown, great lockdown, great lockdown. You see Jacob Carter here. Attempting to...
I gotta unmute the Discord. I pulled the mic boom down, but yes, George Rincon moves up into third. I would say George Rincon, Brian, is just about in the catbird seat. There he comes off the carousel as these drivers go into turn 8 of 9 here.
Ernie.
Yep. I guess he's kind of got some Dell Jr. on his car, so he's got to pull a Dell Jr. and just miss turn 8 completely. Luckily, there was not a Gillette Abernham car in the way to get collected there with his Dell Jr.-esque runoff. I said before we did our Crank It Up segment that I thought Jacob Carter might be able to run down Zachary Rongich. Well, traffic always playing a factor. That has definitely played a part, I would say, in closing the gap and then opening it back up a bit to Carter. But I would say, oh man, now we're really attacking the bus stop. Wasn't really doing it early on. I guess we just saving it for the 10-lap dash to the checkered. Why not? Don't want to break the tie rods early in the race. Just might as well wait and break them later on. As coming down back straightaway, turn 8.
Jacob with a
Carter,
good entry there.
I was going to say, Jacob's really been hitting the apexes of the 90-degree corners, I would say, better than most. Zachary Rongich has the type of apex line in the corners where,
you see that they
except
both
for
lock
turn
up.
1, super defensive line by the 88. He kind of parked it in the middle of the track. That's kind of what you want to do if you want to protect the lead. But at the same time, that really threw Jacob off his line going into turn 1. He couldn't really be aggressive like he wanted to since the 88 decided to park it dead mass of the track, which he is the race leader, kind of has almost every right to do so as well. Man, really attacking the curbs through the bus stop now in the closing laps of the race. Couldn't really get the exit off the bus stop as the entry was so powerful, I would say, hopping over the first couple of curbs there, but really got that fish hook planted, I would say, on the back bumper of the 88. Not, oh, 88 goes wide. Jacob locked it up like he said. Big lock up by the 20, almost torpedoed the side of the 88 if Zachary would have locked it up a bit more than what he did. Not as much tire smoke coming out of the 88 as you saw from the 20, but now we can see Jacob really attack turn 1 like he wanted to the lap prior. Coming up through the S's. 8 laps remaining. Jacob Carter trying to figure out which turn, what straightaway, when would I be, where would be the best approach to attack Zachary and hopefully get around him cleanly. He tried turn 1, that was a no-go. He tried turn 8 last lap, that was another sticky situation. A couple of times he's been really quick through the carousel, but hasn't been able to show it down the back straightaway.
You see, he locked them up again. Rongich with a little bobble there, Will. You see Zach pulled an evasive block. Oh, and Rongich lost it.
Oh, yes. Yes, he did. That's not being in the groove you've been in the entire time. You are now on the bottom groove coming on turn 1 exit, and probably not a whole lot of rubber laid down on that particular part of the track. And looks like Zachary kind of got out of that scot-free, not too possibly not even got any contact with the wall either, just got really slideways. And just like we saw Sanchez earlier on, that mistake early on has really killed this lap for the 88. Okay, well, he had a big slip up. That was bigger than I thought it was, because I thought he only lost 1 position. He lost 2. So he's almost, Brandon Moore could get 4th place here if Rongich does not recover a bit quicker.
These two have prior history on the console days of Brandon Moore and Zachary Rongich. These two had great battles just like that. He says, all right, come in there, lock her up.
Oh,
coming.
Wow. That was a brave and daring move by Brandon Moore to send it down that inside from a long ways back, trying to be the last of the late breakers. Failed miserably, but good effort nevertheless. As George Rincon, all we need now is something to happen to Jacob Carter. Jacob overdrive the bus stop. Just peeing off the turn 9. Wow, Randy. What has happened to Randy? He looks like a modified.
Yes, he does.
Wow.
Him and Tyler.
Oh, man. We got 2 modifieds out there. I didn't know that this was a multi-class race. We got 2 modifieds out there. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man.
The crew chief probably said, that's all right. Go out there and do your thing.
Well, after Ernest impersonated Dale Jr., he said, I'm out. Elvis has left the building, which I don't blame him. I used to like racing road courses back 10 years ago. I still do on occasions, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. I'm not particularly great at it like I used to be. Whenever you get older in your sim racing amateur career, just like in real life, you're not as good. You're not as good as you used to be. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, Ernest, I know that you're always listening, even though you either crash out or you just sometimes not able to show up. You're always listening. I love it. So, no pun intended to your last name, by the way, whenever I said the King Method. Anyway, but you got it. That's great. It's great. Great battle going on. Never mind. Oh, yes, it is a great battle. 7th and 8th, I thought one of them was a lap down. That's why I was like, oh, no, call it off. But great battle. Final position on the lead lap as well. Raging on. They are 37 seconds behind the race leader, so almost a half a lap, not quite, maybe a quarter of a lap behind the race leader. Jacob Carter, George Rincon, and Jaden Sanchez. So we got a battle for second going on and a battle for fourth, and that battle for seventh. So
that's why I told you put your pit limiter on. It would have slowed you down. But when you don't do that, so.
Oh man, Brandon Moore really yawing it out, and that's why we got the paved runoff now there. About 15 years or so ago, that wasn't there. That was a little bit of grass about 3 feet from the pavement surface. I miss grass. I hate. Gonna get a little bit of a rant from the purist in me. I hate extra runoff. I hate extra runoff. There should be some type of a tire wall, Armco, safer wall, just for anyone who's ever raced at the Nürburgring, for instance. You got racetrack and a little bit of grass and then wall. If you make a mistake, hey, your day's pretty much done. That's how it used to be for the most part here at the Glen. And then, like I said, they kept giving the drivers a bit more freedom. It's mainly the stock car guys, like, and Trans Am guys, that do this type of stuff. Oh, Brandon Moore almost became Ryan Newman. Maybe some McDowell. As the battle for second is heating up just as spicy as the fourth place battle. Brandon Moore trying everything in his power to get better than fifth place this evening. Man, 2 laps to go. Earlier, they were just clicking off really quickly. Now it's like Jacob Carter got in the lead. Everybody else just kind of fell off. fell off. I'm trying to combine like two words that are basically the same. Almost said a naughty word.
Yes.
Almost just came out while I was trying to combine the two similar words. Just because of the nice
It was very
stutter I have.
unfortunate for Wrongich to
Well,
have that slip
like
up.
I said, well, it's a very common occurrence whenever you're coming through turn one side by side. You're kind of not in the right lane. Like I said, whenever it happened, hadn't even been there pretty much the entire race. Everybody had been onto the curbing or in that racing line. Nobody had really been in that second lane. They hadn't really been a lot of side by side except from the initial start. Jacob Carter, I would say he's probably up through the S's, as this battle for second is the best one on track besides the one for fourth. And then Sigston and Sellner, they still probably can't decide who wants which back there. We got 3 modifieds in the race. Joe's a modified too. Jacob Carter, though, coming through the bus stop for the final time, going through the carousel. Looks like Sellner, I don't think Sellner is going to be able to run down Skyler on the final lap. He's got a pretty good gap.
Rain cone.
Jaden is actually somewhat slowing. Slowing big time. He's going to lose a lot of spots.
I wonder what happened. All right, we'll wait.
Wow, Brian. Terrible producer moment. They're coming through the final sets of quarters and you want to go to replay. That is amazing, producer, man. And Jaden gives up his position to George, not meaning that right there means, to me at least, 100% not meaning to get into the back of the 28 of George and possibly apologize the entire time afterwards, I would assume. We need to replay that a little bit further back. I would say, like, we need to see him enter the bus stop, I would assume, because George clearly possibly had a bad entry, maybe not as good entry to the carousel. Possibly Jaden just gained a lot of time entering the bus stop, caught him through the bus stop, I would assume. Yep, there comes Jaden's nose entering the picture. And George got a bit out of the groove on the entry. Wheel hopped a little bit, and that gave Jaden the opportunity to stick it on the inside of George. And once he got a nose there, he just basically waited to see what George was going to do, and George trying to come down and hit the apex of the corner, but also defend the position. And then Brandon Moore and Zachary Wongich was able to get through, and they capture second and third, I do believe. And Jaden basically pulls over, gives George fourth. So the rundown goes as followed. Jacob Carter, Zachary Wongich, Brandon Moore. That battle raged on after the incident between Sanchez and George, which very sportsmanlike, I would say. Sanchez trying to pass him as clean as possible and just could not, and then served his own, I guess you could say, sportsman penalty and giving the spot up. And then Nick Brader coming home sixth after, and you took it away. But Jacob Carter, I guess they did 74 miles here of the Glen. Oh, you brought it back up for me. Look at that. Skylar Sigston was able to beat off James Sellner with a stick to get 7th place from James after that hard-fought battle that they had for a few laps there. And Jonathan Otten brings it home with the top 10, 9th place finish. Philip Bridgman, our only Canadian in the field tonight, got the top 10. And then after that, we got Josh Smalls, Tyler Myers, one of the modifieds, Chris Schaefer. Then we got Randy and Samuel, and then Joe. That was the finishers. And Ernest and AJ, they left prematurely. Now we can talk to Jacob. I like doing the rundown, or the finishing order, Brian. I'm sorry. So, where's he at? Jacob.
Mr. Card. I was waiting.
Yes. So, Jacob, you were basically on the attack from the drop of the green flag, ironically, the color of the interstate batteries. So, was that the whole mentality of just gotta attack every corner, the best of your mobility?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, well, that's
The
kind of
plan
what
of
you
the-
were doing to me.
The plan of the attack was to ride around and try to get good spots. But the car was so good, I just couldn't let it go to waste. So when I got up to Zach, I was going to race him hard off of 1, and he got loose and spun out. So this car was great. I don't know what sparked in between the first 5 or 6 laps of it, but it was a rails. It was on rails. So I don't know. I don't know what more to say. I don't know. It was the car, not me.
Well, it just looked like you were able to hit the 90-degree corners, whether it be the left or right-handers, fairly, I would say, a little bit better than most of your competitors tonight, I would say. And just, I would say the racing, once you were able to get side by side with most of your competitors that you passed, I would say the racing was pretty good. Fortunately, there was no cautions tonight. There should have been. You should go back and look at the 9 car. He had a blowover and finished on the podium somehow. That is amazing, I think. But just I would say that's pretty good race for the Glen. Like I said, it looked like you were hard charging from the get-go, at least. At least after lap 1, you started to throw her down in there, and you were just doing really good, I think, Jacob. But anything else you would want to add? I know you said you don't really know what else you could say, but maybe give some shout-outs or something, Jacob?
Just want to shout out y'all watching this 30-lap disaster race, but it wasn't.
Oh, it was a disaster. Okay.
It
Wow.
was
Winner of the race calls it a disaster, guys.
No, it wasn't. It was actually a success. I was expecting someone to go through the S's and just die, but someone did, and everybody didn't pile up into it. But everyone I got around, it was like we would have some good racing, and it's like mistakes were made after that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was good racing until the mistakes were made, and then it was either me getting the shot of it or them getting the shot of it. So it was actually pretty fun racing, especially getting on this front stretch. Like Brian told me, not to dive bomb people. So I tried to race them fair, and if I thought I was going to dive bomb them, I'd let them go.